You know that moment you've been scrolling endlessly on your phone and you suddenly stop and wonder, what am I actually doing with my time? It hits you, right? We all have that moment where we're searching for something to make sense of the chaos around us, and somehow education always seems to be the missing piece. But it's not just about textbooks or degrees. It's about taking control of your mind, your life, your purpose. You see, we all have the power to change the direction of our lives. It's all about one simple thing: educating yourself every single day. And I'm not talking about traditional learning. I'm talking about that daily commitment to growth. Every book you read, every new skill you learn, every new perspective you embrace, that's how you keep evolving. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment, because your moment is now. Here's why I'm telling you this. You deserve more than what you've been giving yourself. When you start learning every day, something powerful happens inside of you. You begin to understand things in a way you didn't before. It's like someone gave you a key, and every new thing you learn unlocks another door in your mind. That's what knowledge really is: freedom. The kind of freedom that gives you choices, that opens your eyes, that makes you see your life from a different angle. And when you see more, you can do more. You don't have to stay stuck in the same place, thinking the same thoughts, doing the same things over and over again. A lot of people live their whole life in a box they didn't even build. They follow a path someone else told them to walk. Go to school, get a job, do what you're told. But they never ask, is this my path? Is this what I want? And they don't ask that question because they've never been taught how to think for themselves. That's what daily education does. It gives you that power. It trains your mind to think bigger, to see beyond what you were taught or what you grew up with. When you start feeding your mind with new knowledge, your brain starts to wake up. You start noticing patterns, you start seeing opportunities. You begin to connect the dots. And most importantly, you stop feeling like life is just happening to you. You begin to realize that you can actually design your life. That's freedom. That's power. You don't need a classroom or a fancy degree to do this. You can educate yourself in ways that cost you nothing but your time and your energy. A book, a podcast, a conversation with someone who thinks differently. Even 5 minutes a day of learning something new can start to change how you move through the world. It's like lighting a fire inside of you, one spark at a time. You start to think, if I can learn this, what else can I learn? And that question is the beginning of a new journey. You begin to believe in yourself more. You start to see the gaps in your thinking and fill them with real knowledge. You realize you don't need to wait for permission to grow. You don't need someone to hand you an opportunity when you can create one yourself by becoming more prepared, more aware, more capable. When you educate yourself daily, your confidence starts to build. Not because someone told you you're smart, but because you know what you've been learning. You know how much you've grown. You can feel it in the way you talk, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respond to challenges. Instead of reacting out of fear or confusion, you start responding with calm and clarity. You've done the work. You've been preparing yourself for moments just like these. And here's the beautiful thing: the more you learn, the more you unlearn too. You let go of old ideas that were holding you back. You drop the stories you've been told about your limits. You release the belief that this is just how life is. No, this is how life was before you started learning, before you opened your mind, before you made the decision to grow. Think about how powerful that is. Think about how many people are trapped, not by cages, not by walls, but by their own thinking. They're free physically, but mentally they're stuck. They don't know that they can choose to see things differently, that they can question what they were taught, that they can start again. But you, just by choosing to educate yourself daily, you step out of that trap. You walk toward freedom every single time you pick up something new to learn. And the best part, no one can take that away from you. Once you know something, it's yours. Once your mind has stretched, it doesn't shrink back. Every lesson, every insight, every skill you pick up becomes part of you. That's something no one can steal. No one can undo the work you've done inside yourself. When you're educated, self-educated, you don't panic when things go wrong. You adjust. You adapt, you figure it out, because your mind has been trained to look for answers. to explore new ways of thinking, to problem solve instead of just complain. You become a person who doesn't give up easily because you know how to learn your way through a situation. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being someone who never stops learning, someone who stays curious, someone who's always growing, because the truth is the world is always changing. And if you're not learning, you're falling behind. You're losing opportunities, missing chances, staying stuck. But when you educate yourself daily, you stay ready, you stay sharp, you keep your mind alive. You learn how to think for yourself instead of just following the crowd. And in today's world, that's more important than ever. People will try to tell you what to think, what to believe, who to be. But if you've educated yourself, you don't just accept things blindly. You question, you explore, you decide. That's the kind of power that makes real change happen, not just in your life, but in the lives of people around you. Because when you grow, you inspire others to grow too. Your mindset becomes contagious. Your light starts to shine so bright, people can't help but notice. And they'll ask, how did you get like this? And all you'll be able to say is, I never stopped learning. You don't need to make huge changes overnight to transform your life. That's where most people go wrong. They think success, growth, or education has to be this big, dramatic thing. Like you have to wake up one day, suddenly be a different person, read 5 books in a day, meditate for an hour, learn a new language, and then somehow be perfect by the weekend. But it doesn't work like that. It never has. Real change comes from the small steps. The quiet daily choices you make when no one is watching. The decision to read 1 page, to listen to something useful for 10 minutes, to ask 1 question. To Google 1 thing you didn't understand instead of just letting it slide. That's the magic. The tiny actions that look like nothing in the moment but start to add up in a way that surprises you. You don't climb a mountain in 1 jump. You do it step by step. And every step counts, even the small ones. Especially the small ones. Because they teach you consistency. They teach you discipline. They teach you patience. And those are the real tools of growth. That's what separates people who keep growing from those who stay in the same place. It's not about speed, it's about direction. You don't have to rush to the top. You just have to keep moving forward. Some days it might feel slow. Some days you'll wonder if anything's even happening. But trust this, those small efforts you're making, they are doing more than you think. They're building you up. They're creating momentum. They're shaping who you're becoming. Even if you just spend 5 minutes today learning something, that's 5 minutes you didn't waste. That's 5 minutes of progress. And tomorrow, when you do it again, that turns into 10, then 20. Then it becomes a habit. Then it becomes part of who you are. And before you know it, you've changed. Not because you did 1 big thing, but because you kept showing up for yourself in small ways every single day. Most people quit not because it's too hard, but because they don't believe the small stuff matters. They think if they're not making big moves, they're not doing enough. But that mindset is what holds them back. Big moves are flashy, sure, but they're not sustainable. Small steps, those are the ones that stick. Those are the ones that become your foundation. You don't build a house by throwing the roof on first. You build it brick by brick. That's exactly how you build your mind, your future, your life. Start with what you have, use what you know, and then grow from there. Don't wait until you have all the answers. You won't, and you don't need to. Just begin. Watch 1 educational video. Write down 1 new idea. Practice 1 new skill. Keep it simple, keep it real, and keep going. Because progress loves consistency more than intensity. Some days will be smooth. Some days you won't feel like doing anything. But do it anyway, even if it's just a little. That little bit keeps the engine running. That little bit keeps the momentum alive. And once you've built momentum, everything gets easier. You stop having to force yourself. It becomes natural. It becomes who you are. Think about water. A single drop might not seem like much, but if it keeps falling in the same spot day after day, it can shape stone. That's the power of small, consistent effort. You don't have to crush it every single day. You just have to keep showing up, keep learning, keep growing. Keep growing. And you don't have to compare your progress to anyone else. Your journey is yours. Your pace is yours. Just because someone else seems to be moving faster doesn't mean you're behind. They might be on a completely different path. Focus on your own lane. Focus on the small things you can do today that your future self will thank you for. Because that's the truth. Your future self is watching you. Every small decision you make today is shaping the person you'll become tomorrow. So ask yourself, am I doing something today that moves me forward, even just a little? Am I learning something new, even if it's small? Am I feeding my mind in a way that helps me grow? If the answer is yes, then you're winning. You're doing the work, you're building something that will last. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need progress. And progress lives in the small stuff. The boring stuff, the quiet stuff, no one claps for. That's where the real magic happens. Keep it simple. One lesson a day, one page a day, one question a day. One challenge faced, one idea explored. That's it? 'Cause enough. Because when you do it daily, it stops being just a task. It becomes your lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes your new identity. You start to see yourself differently. You start to carry yourself differently. And soon other people see it too. That's how you rise. Quietly, slowly, surely, with one small step at a time. The things you choose to learn every day don't just stay in your brain. They shape who you become. You literally become what you learn. The thoughts you feed your mind, the knowledge you take in, the voices you listen to, they're all building blocks. And slowly, without even realizing it, they're creating the person you're becoming. That's why what you choose to learn matters so much. You're not just learning facts or random information. You're forming habits. You're building your mindset. You're deciding the kind of life you're going to live by what you allow into your mind. If you fill your head with doubts, distractions, and drama, don't be surprised if your life starts to feel heavy and off track. But if you feed your mind with knowledge, new perspectives, and truth, then watch how your energy changes. Watch how your confidence starts to rise. Watch how your thinking sharpens and your decisions improve. Because your outer world always reflects your inner world. And your inner world is shaped by what you choose to learn. This is why education, especially self-education, is so powerful. When you start learning things that truly matter to you, that connect with your dreams and goals, your entire identity begins to shift. You go from I don't know to I'm figuring it out. You go from I can't to I will. That's not just motivation, that's transformation. That's growth showing up in your mindset. That's the impact of choosing to educate yourself daily, even in the smallest ways. Think about it like this. Everything you're doing today is training for who you're becoming tomorrow. The person you want to be in 5 years, in 1 year, maybe even in 6 months. That version of you depends on what you're learning and doing right now. So if you want to be stronger, smarter, more focused, more disciplined, you don't wait until life forces you to change. You start learning your way into it. You start growing into that version of yourself today. And here's what's beautiful. You don't need to have it all together to begin. You can be unsure, you can feel lost, you can even feel like you're behind. But the moment you start feeding your mind with something meaningful, the shift begins. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a YouTube video, maybe it's listening to someone who's been through what you're going through. Whatever it is, it starts to rewire your thinking. And once your thoughts change, everything else begins to change with it, because it all starts in the mind. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act shapes the results you get in life. That's why learning matters, not just for school, not just for work, but for life. For your confidence, for your relationships, for your purpose. When you learn, you grow, you become more. And when you become more, you attract more. It all flows from the inside out. And let's be real. Life is not easy. Challenges come. Setbacks happen. Things don't always go as planned. But when you've been filling your mind with the right knowledge, you start to face those hard moments differently. You don't fall apart. You rise up. You don't give up. You get creative. You look for solutions. You start saying things like, I've learned something like this before. I can figure it out. That mindset is powerful. That's the kind of thinking that moves you forward while others are stuck. The way you talk to yourself changes too. When you've been learning new things, building new habits, and feeding your growth, you start talking to yourself with more kindness, more belief, more courage. You stop tearing yourself down for your mistakes. You start saying, okay, I messed up, but I've learned from it. That's how strong minds are built. Not by being perfect, but by learning from every experience and using it to grow. Even your goals start to feel closer when you're learning daily. What once felt impossible starts to feel doable. That thing you thought was too big now looks like something you can break into smaller steps. You begin to realize that success isn't reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's for the prepared. And preparation comes from learning, from growing, from becoming the kind of person who's ready for the opportunities when they show up. And don't forget, what you learn doesn't just change you, it changes how you show up for others. You become the person who brings insight into conversations, the one who can help, the one who can listen differently, think deeper, lead better. And that matters, because we don't grow just for ourselves. We grow so we can give more, serve more, lead more, inspire more. That's why every moment you spend learning is never wasted, even if it's just one quote that sticks with you, one idea that clicks, one story that shifts how you see things. That's all it takes sometimes. Just one thing to light a spark. That spark turns into action, turns into results. And those results shape your future. So whatever you're learning today, let it shape you. Let it build you. Let it become part of who you are. Because every piece of knowledge, every new idea, every lesson, it's all part of your transformation. You're not just learning to know more, you're learning to become more. And that's the real win. When you take a moment every day to learn something new, you're not just filling your mind, you're filling your life with power, real power. Not the kind that shows off or tries to impress people, but the quiet, unshakable kind. The kind of power that comes from knowing who you are and what you're capable of. That kind of power is built by educating yourself daily. Every time you choose to grow, even in small ways, you are giving yourself permission to level up. Think about it. When you learn something, no matter how small it seems, you're not the same person you were 5 minutes ago. You know a little more. You understand a little better. You see things a little clearer. And that knowledge gives you strength to make better choices, strength to solve problems, strength to keep going when things get tough. And life will get tough. That's just how it is. But when you've been growing your mind every single day, you face those hard moments with a different energy. You don't feel helpless. You don't feel lost. You feel ready. Daily education isn't just about facts or skills. It's about giving yourself the tools to handle life, to show up with confidence no matter what's going on around you. You start walking into rooms with your head held high. Not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because you know you've been putting in the work. You've been learning, you've been growing, you've been preparing. And that kind of preparation gives you a calm strength that shows up in everything you do. Confidence doesn't come from pretending. It doesn't come from faking it. It comes from knowing. Knowing that you've been feeding your mind. Knowing that you've been building yourself up. Knowing that even when no one was watching, you were showing up for yourself. That's where true empowerment begins, with daily commitment to your own growth. And the best part, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to read a whole book in one sitting or understand everything perfectly. You just have to keep moving forward. Every article you read, every podcast you listen to, every new idea you explore, it all adds up. Even the moments when you feel like it's not making a difference, it is. You're building muscle in your mind. You're getting stronger, wiser, more resilient. And over time, you start to notice something. You don't react the same way you used to. You don't panic over small problems. You don't let fear stop you from speaking up or trying something new. That's because you've been preparing. You've been educating yourself, and now you're standing on a stronger foundation. That's empowerment. That's what happens when you invest in yourself a little each day. When you learn something new, you also start to believe in yourself more. You stop second-guessing every decision. You start trusting your gut because you've been sharpening your instincts through knowledge. You're not just guessing anymore, you're thinking things through with a deeper understanding. And that makes all the difference in how you move through the world. You become more grounded, more present, more aware. And people notice it. They feel it in how you carry yourself. They hear it in how you speak. You don't have to announce your growth. Your energy does it for you. You start to inspire others without even trying, just by being who you are. That's what happens when you've empowered yourself through daily learning. You shine from the inside out. You also become more independent. You stop relying on others to give you answers, to fix things, to show you the way. You become the kind of person who can figure things out, who can find solutions, who can move forward even when the path isn't clear. That kind of self-reliance is rare and powerful. It's what separates people who stay stuck from those who grow through anything. Daily education gives you more options. When you know more, you can do more. You open up new possibilities for yourself. Maybe you learn a new skill that turns into a new career. Maybe you read something that changes how you think and that changes how you live. Maybe you hear one idea that gives you the courage to try something you've always been scared to do. It's all possible when you make learning a daily habit. And the truth is, this kind of empowerment doesn't come from outside of you. It doesn't come from someone else telling you that you're smart or capable. It comes from within. It's built by you through your own actions, through your own choice to grow, through your own decision to keep learning even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one else is doing it. That's what makes it so powerful. It's yours. No one can take it away from you. No one can undo the work you've done. No one can take back the lessons you've learned. You carry that strength with you everywhere you go, and the more you learn, the stronger it gets. So each time you pick up a new piece of knowledge, remember what you're really doing. You're not just learning something random. You're empowering yourself. You're building a better version of you. One step, one page, one lesson at a time. And that kind of power, that kind of growth, it's the kind that lasts. Most people wait for the perfect time to begin. They wait for motivation to strike like lightning, for the stars to align, for everything in their life to be calm and easy before they take that first step. But here's the truth. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. There is no perfect time. There is only now. And if you really want to change, to grow, to rise, you have to stop waiting and start doing. That's where your power lives, in the doing. You need to have it all figured out. You don't need to have a 5-year plan. You don't even need to feel ready. You just need to start. Because once you start, something inside of you begins to shift. Your energy changes. Your mindset gets sharper. Your self-belief starts to build. You begin to realize that you're capable of more than you thought. It's like a spark. That first step lights something inside of you, and then it grows. But that spark only comes after action, not before. Action leads to motivation, not the other way around. So instead of sitting there thinking, I don't feel motivated today, flip it. Say, oh, what's one small thing I can do today that moves me forward? That's how momentum is created. That's how you wake yourself up from the inside out. And here's the best part. You don't have to take big steps. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. Small, steady steps are what create real, lasting change. Just show up, even on the days when it's hard. Even on the days when you feel tired. Even on the days when you feel like you're not making progress. Show up anyway. Do something. Anything. Because something is always better than nothing. Consistency is what separates those who talk about growth from those who actually live it. Anyone can be excited for a day or two. Anyone can feel inspired for a week. But the people who win, who evolve, who turn their lives around, they're the ones who keep going, even when no one's watching, even when no one claps for them, even when it's boring or uncomfortable. That's the kind of mindset that builds a future. And the truth is, every time you show up for yourself, you're building trust with the most important person in your life, you. You're proving to yourself that you're someone who follows through, that you're someone who takes your growth seriously, that you don't need anyone else to push you because you've learned how to push yourself. That kind of self-trust is rare, and it's powerful. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need endless time or fancy tools. You just need a decision. A decision that says, I'm going to grow today, even if it's just a little. Even if it's not perfect, I'm still going to take a step. That's the kind of attitude that moves mountains. That's what separates average from unstoppable. Most people are afraid to begin because they're scared of failing. But failure is not the enemy. Waiting it is. Doing nothing is. Doubting yourself until the opportunity passes. That's what really hurts. Failing is just part of the process. You learn from it. You grow from it. You get better. But you only get that chance if you begin. So don't overthink it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't let fear of perfection stop you. Just start. Start messy. Start uncertain. Start small. But start. Because once you begin, you give yourself the chance to become something greater. And that's how every success story begins. With one brave, messy, imperfect step forward. You also have to stop asking for permission. You don't need approval from anyone to chase your goals or work on yourself. You don't need someone to tell you that you're allowed to grow. You get to decide that. You get to say, I'm ready to take control of my life, and then you back that up with action, with consistency, with daily decisions that support the person you want to become. And when you start taking those actions, people will notice. They'll see the shift in your energy. They'll hear the difference in your words. They'll feel the confidence that comes from doing the work. But even if no one sees it right away, you will. You'll feel stronger, clearer, more focused, more alive, because growth makes you feel alive in a way nothing else does. You also have to remind yourself that you're not alone in this. Every person who has ever done something great had to start somewhere. They had doubts, they had fear, they had moments where they didn't feel ready, but they didn't let that stop them. They took the leap anyway. They chose to believe that growth was possible, that their past didn't define them, that their effort would lead to something greater, and they were right. You can do the same. You don't need to wait for someone to give you a sign. This is your sign, this moment, this choice. This small step you take today, it matters. It's not just about where you are right now, it's about where you're headed. And every action you take is moving you closer to the life you want. The version of you you've dreamed of being is built through action, not just dreaming, not just talking, but doing. So instead of waiting for motivation, create it. Instead of waiting to feel ready, start where you are. Let your growth begin in the middle of your chaos, your stress, your mess. Because if you can begin now, you can grow through anything. Sometimes the people around you won't understand your journey. And that's okay. You're not growing for them. You're growing for you. Not everyone will see your vision. Not everyone will support your grind. Some will even question why you're working so hard, why you're reading books, watching mindset videos, writing goals down, learning something new every single day. But here's the thing, you don't need their understanding to keep going. You just need to know why you started. There will be moments when your growth feels lonely, when it seems like everyone else is just having fun, staying comfortable while you're trying to level up. And during those moments, your biggest test is to keep showing up, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps for you, even when you feel like quitting, because that's what separates people who grow from people who stay the same. Persistence through silence. Growth often happens in silence, in the spaces where no one sees your effort. No one sees you turning down distractions. No one sees you choosing to stay in and work on yourself when everyone else is out. No one sees the internal battles you're fighting, the doubts, the fears, the insecurities. But what matters is that you know you're changing, you know you're becoming, and that's enough. People might not notice the small changes right away, but they will. Over time, your results will speak so loud they won't be able to ignore it. You'll walk different, talk different, carry yourself with a kind of quiet strength that comes only from doing the inner work. And that energy, it's undeniable. You won't have to prove anything. Your growth will speak for itself. But it's going to take patience. Because growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, not a moment. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. It requires you to let go of habits that feel familiar but no longer serve you. It requires you to distance yourself from people who don't align with the direction you're headed. And that can be hard, because even though you're growing, part of you will want to stay where it's safe, where it's known. But that's not where greatness lives. Greatness lives in the stretch, in the push, in the parts that make you uncomfortable. You might feel misunderstood. That's normal. People who haven't decided to grow won't always get it. They'll say things like, "You've changed," like it's a bad thing. But the truth is, you're supposed to change. You're not meant to stay the same year after year. You're supposed to evolve, to expand, to become more. Don't let anyone guilt you for growing. They're only uncomfortable because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. And you don't need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You don't have to dull your shine so others won't feel insecure. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out, to grow into everything you're capable of being. And if that makes some people distance themselves, let them go. Mamaja, not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some people are just part of the earlier chapters of your story. But your next chapter, that one needs a stronger version of you. And here's what you need to remind yourself. You're not doing this alone. Somewhere out there, someone else is also growing quietly, in their own way, fighting their own battles, showing up day after day, just like you. You may not see them, you may not know their names, but you're part of something bigger. A quiet movement of people who've decided not to settle. People who've decided to break the cycle. People who've decided to be more. That's the energy you need to stay close to. Even if it's just one voice, one video, one book that keeps you grounded. Hold on to it, because the world won't always encourage you to grow. It's easier to fit in, it's easier to coast. But you didn't come this far to settle for easy. You're here to stretch into your potential. You're here to rise. And when the journey gets hard, and it will, remind yourself of the reason you started. Remind yourself of the dreams that still whisper in your heart, the things you haven't told anyone about, the visions that feel so real they almost scare you. That's what you're working for, not the applause, not the approval, but the becoming, the evolution. There's power in choosing to keep growing even when no one notices. There's power in learning even when no one says, "A good job." There's power in showing up for yourself, especially on the days when you feel like giving up. Those are the days that matter most, because growth doesn't just happen on the easy days. It happens when you decide to keep going anyway. You're not falling behind, you're building something. And sometimes building takes time. It takes long nights, quiet mornings, repeated effort. And a whole lot of faith in yourself. Not the loud kind of faith, but the deep kind. The kind that says, "I don't see the results yet, but I believe they're coming. I believe I'm coming." Your growth might make others uncomfortable. Let it. Your change might create distance. Let it. Because the only thing worse than growing alone is not growing at all. Stay committed to your path. Stay grounded in your purpose. You're not just learning to know more. You're learning to be more. Not everything you learn will make sense right away. Some things will go over your head. Some lessons will feel pointless at first. You might read a book and not fully understand it. You might listen to something and forget half of it. And that's okay. The goal isn't to master everything instantly. The goal is to keep showing up, to keep absorbing, to keep feeding your mind. Because even when it doesn't feel like it, growth is still happening. Something is always clicking, even if it's happening beneath the surface. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't plant something and expect it to grow overnight. You water it. You take care of it. You give it time. Then one day you see it sprouting. The same thing happens with your mind. Every new piece of information, every fresh idea, every new skill you practice, it's a seed. And one day, without warning, it blooms into something bigger. Maybe it shows up in how you respond to a tough situation. Maybe it shows up when someone needs help and you know exactly what to say. Maybe it shows up when you find the courage to take a chance you wouldn't have taken before. That's how growth works. Quiet, steady, and then suddenly visible. So don't pressure yourself to get it all the time. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be curious. Stay open. Let the learning process stretch you. Let it challenge you. Let it humble you. You'll be amazed at how much your mind can hold, how fast it can connect ideas, how naturally it can grow when you stop stressing about being flawless and start focusing on being consistent. And the more you show up to learn, the more confidence you build. Not because you know everything, but because you're willing to figure things out. That's real confidence. It doesn't come from knowing all the answers. It comes from trusting that you'll keep showing up, that you'll keep learning, and that you'll keep growing no matter what life throws at you. There will be moments when you'll feel stuck, days when nothing makes sense, when you question if it's even worth it. That's normal. That's part of the process, but you have to keep going because learning isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it shakes up everything you thought you knew. But that's exactly what growth is supposed to do. It clears out the old beliefs. It breaks down the limits. It makes space for something better. When you keep exposing your mind to new information, you start thinking in new ways. You start seeing possibilities where you used to see problems. You start finding solutions where you used to feel stuck. That's not an accident. That's the result of feeding your mind every day, and it adds up faster than you think. And here's the truth. You don't always need a classroom or a teacher. Life itself is full of lessons. Every conversation, every experience, every challenge is teaching you something. When you start looking at life like that, everything becomes an opportunity to learn. That failure, lesson. That mistake, lesson. That uncomfortable moment, also a lesson. It's all working together to shape you. You have to give yourself permission to be a student of life. That means being okay with not knowing it all. That means staying curious, asking questions, listening deeply, trying again. That mindset will take you further than any degree or title ever could. Because people who never stop learning are the ones who never stop growing. And eventually, something shifts. The things that once confused you start to make sense. The dots start connecting. You start speaking differently, thinking differently, reacting differently. People around you might not know what changed, but you know that you've been putting in the work. You know that your mind has been growing stronger every single day, and that quiet confidence starts to shine through in everything you do. Sometimes you'll learn something now that won't matter until later, but when that moment comes, you'll be ready. You'll remember that quote, that idea, that thing you heard months ago that didn't make sense at the time, but suddenly fits perfectly. That's the beauty of learning. It prepares you for things before they happen. It equips you with knowledge you didn't even know you needed. And let's not forget this. Learning isn't just about what you gain. It's also about what you lose. You start losing fear, losing doubt, losing the belief that you're not good enough. Because every time you learn something new, it's like you're proving to yourself, I can do this. I can figure this out, and that starts to chip away at all the stories you used to believe about your limits. You don't need to remember everything perfectly. You don't need to impress anyone with what you know. You just need to stay in the process. The more you learn, the more your mindset expands. Whoa. And with an expanded mindset, you start creating a bigger life. You start seeing yourself in new ways. And you start stepping into roles, ideas, opportunities that once felt out of reach. This is how you shift from surviving to thriving. This is how you stop playing small. By feeding your mind every single day, even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when it doesn't feel like it's making a difference. Because it is. Little by little, moment by moment, it's building something inside you that can't be taken away. It's easy to look around and feel like you're not doing enough. You see others who seem to have it all figured out, living their dreams, achieving their goals, making it look so easy. And then there's you, just trying to make progress, sometimes feeling like you're moving at a snail's pace. But let me tell you this, your journey is yours, your pace is yours. The fact that you're showing up, that you're pushing forward, that you're putting in the work, that's what matters. Growth doesn't happen on anyone else's timeline. It happens on your own. The most important thing you can do is stay in the game. It's so tempting to quit when things aren't moving fast enough, when it feels like everyone else is ahead of you. But real growth happens in the quiet moments, in the days when nothing seems to be changing, but you keep showing up anyway. In those days when you feel like you're not getting anywhere, that's when you're actually building the foundation for your success. You don't see it yet, but the work is happening. Even if you're not seeing immediate results, you're laying down bricks of discipline, consistency, and resilience. You have to trust the process. Trust that the effort you're putting in, even on the days when you don't feel like it, is making a difference. Trust that every small step is adding up. Trust that the person you're becoming is more important than the place you're trying to get to. The journey is where the magic happens, not the destination. Because the truth is, the destination will change as you grow. What you thought you wanted last year may not be what you want today. And that's okay. Your growth is taking you to places you might not have even imagined yet. When you focus on the journey, you shift your mindset from I need to get there to I'm growing here. And that small shift is powerful. It keeps you grounded in the present moment where real change occurs. It helps you see every challenge, every obstacle as an opportunity to learn, to expand, to get better. It takes the pressure off. You stop stressing over whether you're on the right path or not because you realize that every path you walk, as long as you're committed to growth, is the right one. Another key to growth is accepting that things won't always be perfect. You're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to get it right every time. But that's part of the process. Perfection is an illusion. It's the belief that you need everything to line up perfectly before you start. But growth doesn't work like that. It happens in the messiness, in the mistakes, in the trying and failing and trying again. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Small, steady progress. One step forward, no matter how small, is better than standing still, waiting for everything to be just right. And you'll have days when it feels like you're not making any progress at all. The days when you feel like everything is moving in slow motion, or when you hit a wall. Those are the days that are often the most important. They teach you patience. They teach you resilience. They teach you that progress isn't always linear. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But as long as you keep going, you're still moving forward. When you embrace the reality that growth isn't always going to be smooth sailing, you start to appreciate the hard moments, the tough days. Because it's in those moments that you're building mental strength. It's in those moments that you're learning how to keep going when it's hard. You're learning how to be persistent. And that persistence is the difference between the people who reach their goals and those who give up along the way. It's also crucial to remember that growth is a personal journey. It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others, wondering why they seem to have it all figured out while you're still working through your challenges. But comparison will only hold you back. It will distract you from your own path. Everyone is on their own journey at their own pace. Just because someone else is ahead of you doesn't mean you're falling behind. Your journey is uniquely yours and it will unfold in its own time. Celebrate where you are and be patient with where you're going. The real key to growth is the decision to keep going no matter what. Even when things are hard, even when it feels like you're stuck in a rut, even when you feel like no one notices your progress. The fact that you keep showing up, that you keep working on yourself, that you keep learning and growing, that's what makes the difference in the end. It's the decision to keep moving forward even on the days when it feels like there's no progress. Because progress doesn't always show up the way you expect. Sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes it's happening on a deeper level beneath the surface. But it's always happening. You have to trust that your hard work is not for nothing. Every effort you put in, every book you read, every lesson you learn, it's all making a difference. It's all leading you closer to the person you're meant to be. And when you look back one day, you'll see how far you've come. You'll see the growth that was happening in the moments when you felt like you were standing still. That's the beauty of the process. The work is always worth it, even when it's hard, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere, because every step counts. So don't give up when things get tough. Don't throw in the towel when it feels like nothing is working. Stay in the game. Trust the process. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep going. Your journey is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And one day you'll look back and realize that everything you went through, every struggle, every challenge, every small step you took, it was all part of becoming who you are meant to be. There will be days when it feels like everything is working against you. You'll hit roadblocks, face setbacks, and deal with challenges that make you question your choices. During these moments, it's easy to want to give up. It's easy to tell yourself that it's not worth it, that maybe you're not cut out for this, that maybe you should just settle. But let me tell you this, those tough days are part of your growth. They're not a sign that you should quit. They're a sign that you're on the right track. The fact that you're facing obstacles means you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. You're moving towards something greater than what you've ever known. And that's a beautiful thing. Think about it for a second. Everything you truly want in life is on the other side of your comfort zone. The goals, the dreams, the vision you have for your future, none of it will come easily. If it did, everyone would already have it. The fact that it's challenging means it's worth it. Every challenge you face is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for what's ahead. Growth doesn't happen without struggle. Struggle is the furnace in which greatness is forged. Without it, you would never reach your full potential. The key to overcoming these challenges is learning how to shift your perspective. When something feels difficult, when you feel defeated, try to see it as a stepping stone rather than an obstacle. Instead of looking at it as something that's holding you back, look at it as something that's helping you move forward. Every time you face something hard and push through it, you're building resilience. You're teaching yourself how to handle adversity. You're showing up for yourself in ways you never thought you could. And that's where the magic happens. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't moving as fast as you want them to. When the progress feels slow and the end goal feels out of reach. But remember, success isn't built on a straight path. It's built on a series of twists and turns, ups and downs, highs and lows. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that things should happen right now. But the truth is, everything worthwhile takes time. Every small effort, every little victory adds up. Even when it feels like you're not making progress, you are. You're building momentum. You're creating a foundation that's going to hold you up when you're ready to soar. So during those tough moments, don't give up. Don't walk away just because things aren't easy. In fact, it's the hard moments that matter the most. It's in those moments that your character is built. When things get tough, you have a choice. You can either let the challenge defeat you, or you can choose to rise. You can choose to believe that you're stronger than whatever's standing in your way. You can choose to use the struggle as fuel, as motivation to keep pushing forward. It's also important to remember that success doesn't always look like what you expect it to. The way you imagine your goals coming to life may not be the way they actually do. Life has a funny way of surprising us, of taking us down unexpected paths. Sometimes the thing you thought you wanted isn't the thing that's actually meant for you. Sometimes the challenges you face are redirecting you to something even better. Trust that the struggles you're going through are teaching you something, even if you don't fully understand it yet. And don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. It's easy to get so focused on the end result that you forget to acknowledge the progress you've already made. Every little step you take, every piece of knowledge you gain, every challenge you overcome, it's all a victory. And you deserve to recognize that. It's the small wins that build up your confidence, that remind you that you're capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. They serve as proof that you're on the right path, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Another powerful thing to remember is that you are never alone in this journey. It might feel lonely sometimes, especially when you're pushing through difficult moments and you feel like no one understands. But you're not alone. Everyone who has ever achieved something significant has faced their own struggles. Every successful person has had to navigate difficult times. What sets them apart is their ability to keep going. They didn't quit. And neither should you. Keep pushing forward even when it feels hard, because you are capable of achieving great things. And when you get through the tough times, and you will, look at how much stronger you'll be. You'll be able to look back and realize that everything you faced was necessary for your growth. It was all part of the process. The hard days, the challenges, the setbacks, they were all preparing you for the person you're becoming. And when you reach your goal, when you get to the place you've been working for, you'll realize that it wasn't just the goal that mattered. It was the journey, the lessons you learned, the strength you built, the character you developed along the way. That's the real success. So when things get tough, remember, this is just a chapter, not the entire story. The road may be rocky, but it's leading you to something greater. Trust the process. Trust that every challenge is just another opportunity to grow stronger, to learn, to evolve. Keep pushing, keep fighting, keep believing in yourself, even when it seems impossible. The tough moments won't last forever, but the strength you gain from them will stay with you for life. Keep going, because what's waiting for you on the other side is worth every struggle, every obstacle, and every moment of doubt. There are moments when it feels like nothing is going your way, when the weight of everything seems to be bearing down on you. You've put in the effort, you've been working hard, and yet results seem slow to show. It's easy in those times to feel like giving up. But the truth is, when things feel the hardest, that's when you're actually the closest to a breakthrough. It's often in our lowest points, when we're exhausted, frustrated, and questioning everything, that we experience the greatest growth. Think about it. Every challenge you face, every moment of struggle is shaping you into someone stronger. It's teaching you things you wouldn't have learned if everything had gone smoothly. Life doesn't throw challenges your way because you're not capable of handling them. It throws them because it knows you're stronger than you think. These moments aren't meant to break you, they're meant to build you. The key is to shift your perspective, to look at these challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to get better. In the face of adversity, you have a choice. You can choose to give in, to let the frustration and discouragement take over. Or you can choose to push through, to rise above, and to keep going even when it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who give up isn't talent or intelligence, it's persistence. The ones who succeed are the ones who don't quit, who keep fighting even when the odds are stacked against them. They understand that no matter how tough things get, they have the power to keep going. It's important to remember that progress isn't always visible. You might feel like you're not moving forward, but that doesn't mean you aren't. Growth is often a quiet internal process. It's happening beneath the surface even when you can't see it. The work you're doing today might not pay off tomorrow or even next week, but eventually it will. Every effort, no matter how small, is adding up. You're building something inside of yourself: strength, resilience, knowledge, and experience. And one day, those things will pay off in ways you never expected. Another important point to consider is that you don't need to have everything figured out right now. It's easy to feel like you have to have a clear path, a perfect plan, and all the answers before you can move forward. But that's not how life works. Sometimes you just have to take the next step, even if you don't know where it will lead. Trust yourself enough to know that you don't need to have it all figured out. All you need to do is take action, even when it feels uncertain. Even when you don't know what comes next, just keep moving forward. Action breeds clarity. The more you take action, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the clearer the path becomes. It's also essential to give yourself grace during the process. Too often, we are our own harshest critics. We hold ourselves to unrealistic standards and beat ourselves up when we don't meet them. But growth takes time. It takes patience. And it's okay if you don't get everything right the first time. In fact, it's more than okay. It's part of the process. Every mistake, every misstep is a lesson. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. Don't let perfectionism hold you back. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from trying. Remember, failure isn't the opposite test. It's part of a successful person has failed at some point. What matters is getting back up, learning from the experience, and trying again. During these tough moments, remind yourself that you're exactly where you need to be. Even when you feel like you're behind or that everyone else is moving ahead of you, you're right on track. Your journey is unique to you. It doesn't matter how long it takes or how many setbacks you face. What matters is that you keep showing up day after day, doing the work, putting in the effort. That's what will make the difference in the end. And don't forget the power of your mindset. Your mind has an incredible ability to shape your reality. If you keep telling yourself that things are too hard, that you're not good enough, or that you'll never succeed, then your actions will reflect that. But if you start shifting your mindset, focusing on what's possible rather than what's impossible, you'll begin to see new opportunities. When you choose to see challenges as opportunities for growth, you open yourself up to possibilities you never thought existed. Your mindset has the power to turn setbacks into comebacks. You also need to understand that progress is rarely linear. Some days will be better than others, and that's okay. Some days you'll feel like you're making huge strides. Other days you'll feel like you're stuck in the same place. But the key is to keep moving. Even on the days when it feels like nothing is happening, keep going. The small steps matter. The consistency matters. Every day you keep going, you're building the habits and the resilience that will help you achieve your goals. The process isn't always smooth, but it's always worth it. The road to success is not a straight path. It's full of twists and turns, ups and downs, and sometimes detours. But each detour, each unexpected turn, is taking you exactly where you need to go. Even when things don't go according to plan, they're still part of your journey. Everything you experience is preparing you for the next chapter of your life. So don't be discouraged by setbacks. Don't be disheartened by delays. Trust that everything is unfolding as it should, and keep moving forward. Finally, always remember this: you have everything inside of you to succeed. You have the strength, the resilience, the determination, and the heart to push through. There will be days when you doubt yourself, but in those moments, remind yourself of all the progress you've already made. Remind yourself of all the obstacles you've already overcome. You are capable of achieving great things. Don't let the hard days convince you otherwise. Keep going, you're closer than you think to everything you've dreamed of. Just don't stop now. There's a certain magic that happens when you step into your power and realize that the only limits that exist are the ones you create for yourself. So often, we let fear dictate our decisions, we let self-doubt hold us back, and we let the opinions of others define our potential. But imagine for a moment if you could free yourself from those limitations. Imagine if you could step boldly into the person you were always meant to be. What would you do differently? How would you show up for yourself and for the world? The truth is, you have everything inside of you to create the life you want. You have the strength, the courage, and the resilience to face whatever challenges come your way. The only thing standing between you and the life you dream of is the belief that you're not capable, that you're not worthy, or that you need to be someone else to make it happen. But here's the thing: there is no a perfect version of you, there's just you, and you are more than enough. You don't need to be anyone else to achieve your dreams. All you need is to tap into the power you already have and take action. It's so easy to get caught up in the idea that you're not ready, that you need more time, more experience, more knowledge. But here's the secret: there's never a perfect time to start. The perfect moment doesn't exist. The key is to start where you are with what you have. Every step you take, no matter how small, is progress. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to have all the answers. What matters is that you take that first step, and then the next. The more you move forward, the clearer the path will become. When you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start embracing the present, that's when things begin to shift. That's when you realize that growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when you put yourself out there, when you take risks, when you take action, even when you're scared. Every time you face your fears, every time you take a leap of faith, you're growing, you're becoming stronger, more resilient, and more capable. And that's the only way to truly step into your power: by taking action, by doing the thing that scares you, by pushing through the fear and uncertainty. Fear will always be there. It will always try to convince you that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that you should wait a little longer. But you have to decide: will you let fear control you, or will you take control of your own life? Every successful person has faced fear at some point. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. They don't let fear stop them. They take it with them and they move forward anyway. You don't have to get rid of fear to be successful. You just have to learn how to move with it, how to acknowledge it, and then keep going despite it. One of the biggest things that hold people back from stepping into their power is the fear of failure. But failure isn't the enemy. It's a stepping stone. It's part of the process. Every failure is a lesson, a gift in disguise. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the closer you get to success. Think about it this way: if you never failed, how would you know what works and what doesn't? How would you grow? It's through the failures that we gain the experience and wisdom that success is built on. So embrace failure. Don't be afraid of it. Understand that it's simply feedback, a chance to course correct and try again. Another thing that holds people back from stepping into their power is the fear of judgment. We're all afraid of what other people might think. We worry that if we fail, people will see us as less than, or that we'll be judged for our choices. But the truth is, people are often too focused on their own lives to spend much time judging yours. And even if they do, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you think of yourself. What matters is whether or not you believe in your ability to succeed. The opinions of others don't define your worth. You define your worth. The moment you stop caring about what others think is the moment you free yourself to fully step into your power. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who avoid failure or criticism. They're the ones who embrace it. They take the risks, face the fear, and keep moving forward despite the setbacks. And that's exactly what you need to do too. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the opinions of others stop you from pursuing your dreams. Step into your power, take the leap, and trust that the universe has your back. Stepping into your power is also about trusting yourself. It's about believing that you have what it takes to make it happen. It's easy to get caught up in self-doubt, to think that others have something you don't, or that they're more qualified, more capable, or more deserving. But the truth is, there's no one else like you. You bring something unique to the table that no one else can. You have a voice that no one else can replicate. You have strengths that are uniquely yours. And it's time to start believing in that. Believing in yourself is the first step to stepping into your power. Once you truly believe that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you can achieve anything you set your mind to, everything starts to change. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop letting fear hold you back. You start making bold decisions and taking confident action. You start moving forward with purpose, with passion, and with the belief that you are unstoppable. So, take a moment and ask yourself, what's holding you back? What's keeping you from stepping fully into your power? Whatever it is, let it go. The world needs you to show up. The world needs your unique gifts, your talents, your perspective. The time is now. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Step into your power today and let the world see what you're truly capable of. There's nothing stopping you but yourself. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and take action. The life you've always wanted is waiting for you, but it can only be yours if you step into your full power and claim it. So the next time you're scrolling or wondering if you should spend time watching another video or post, remember this: educate yourself today, and you'll thank yourself tomorrow. Every minute you invest in learning is a minute you're investing in a brighter, more powerful future. Your time here is precious, don't waste it.